So if you're given slope-intercept form, remember the y-intercept is this last number. So it crosses the y-axis at -4. So you just put your first dot there, and then from that you use the slope, and in this case you go down 2 and over 3. See how the minus sign is in between the fraction. So it can go on the top or the bottom, but we choose to put it on the bottom at the moment. So that means from the first point, which is your y-intercept, you're going to go down 2, count over 3, and there's another point, and then once you connect 2 points, it'll connect the line for you. Okay? So I just feel like graphing is really simple in ALEKS once you see it. If you're trying to read the explanations in ALEKS, it's not quite as clear. So that's why I wanted to have this little live session for you to do a few of these problems for you so that you could get a little hands-on explanation. Do you have any questions? Do you have any specific topics you've worked on that you'd like to see? No? Okay then, if you have no questions, I'll have this posted and then I'll cut it up into individual topics to post in the weekly tab so that you can go back and if you forget, refer to it. Now here's a caution is that ALEKS, if you ask for an explanation, ALEKS is going to make you start over in your working 3 problems. It wants you to work 3 problems correctly in a row. If you work 2 problems and then ask for an explanation, it's going to act like you didn't ever do anything right, and you have to go back and start over with 3. I actually had one student that ALEKS was giving her 5 problems at a time, and I don't know what she ever did wrong, but it always gave her 5 problems to do. So you want to make sure, if you're going to ask for an explanation, you want to make sure you do that first before you start working the problem so that you can maybe print out that explanation if you feel like you're going to need it later, or you can work through the explanation, work that example with it, and make sure you understand because you definitely want to work your problems correctly one after the other so that you can do it as few times as possible. The other thing I want to mention to you is that you have assessment. Remember you did your initial assessment. You'll have more of those assessments as you go along. The frustrating thing is that if you have sort of kind of learned the material, you might miss it on the assessments as you go along, and it's going to take those that you didn't quite know back away from you in your pie. So you want to make sure as you learn it that you've got a way to get it right on that. Excuse me. But you've got a way to get it right both on that homework and again on the assessment. And then you're going to see it again on the midterm and final. So you want to have a notebook or something that you're working with where you put down instructions to yourself, maybe with an example, and then how you go about solving that, something to remind yourself as you go along, because you're going to do a lot of topics this term. You might have noticed there's 109 topics in ALEKS. And if you only do every one of those problems 3 times, which is what the very bare minimum that ALEKS requires, plus some assessments, plus a midterm and final, you're going to do 1,000 problems, okay? At least 500 problems. So you want to make sure you get them right and don't fall into the trap of making little mistakes because it'll make you start over. If you make a little mistake on the 3rd try, you got to do them all again. So that's a not pleasant thing about ALEKS, but it does force you to really learn it.